What is going down? This is Marlon Hurd, the Valiionaire, or Coach MT, however you know me, and back here with some more incredible value. So before we get into it, this is not tax advice, legal advice, or financial advice. This is just information. Just some things for you to potentially think about as you move throughout your your financial life. Okay. I've made it my mission to share as much of this information as I possibly can, learn as much as I can, and be able to get this information out to as many people as possible, so that if you're in a certain space somewhere financially, you could maybe just have a little bit more information. The financial world moves so fast, and it's one world that is not taught to many of us early on in our lives, right? When we were younger, a lot of us didn't receive that information. We were taught get good grades. We were taught, get a job, things of that nature. Rarely is money talked about. And things are a little different now. I will say that, but I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and money was never talked about in my family, ever. It was always, the only time I heard my family talk about money was, don't spend all your money, save your money. That's about it. There was no talk about credit, investing, interest. I learned all that in my late 20s to early 30s when I was involved in network marketing. So maybe this may be maybe someone on this call is in their early 20s, or maybe they're in their late 40s like me, and they never heard this information, and they want to start making some better financial decisions as they're rounding into the later years of their life. Okay, so if you are in the market to buy a home, all right, if you're on the market to buy a home, here's a couple things that you may want to avoid when you are attempting to buy a house. All right. Before you walk into that lender's office, the house buying process starts 12 to 24 months before you actually get to the lender. It is not the day you go. You want to start a year or two beforehand. So your daily money habits become your mortgage approval. So this is what we're going to talk about. Number one are late payments. If you have one late payment on your credit, it could cost you 60 to 100 credit points. Interest goes up and your loan denials increase, right? Purchasing a home is a big purchase. And the last thing a lender wants to see is someone with late payments, because that could be a future foreclosure. All right. If they see any late payments, they are staring at a future foreclosure, which means that they're not going to be able to get all their money over the 7.5, 15, 30 years of interest. It may be, the house may be sold. It may go into collections, things of that nature. So no late payments. If you have any late payments on your credit report, get them removed ASAP. So your payment history is the largest factor of your credit score. It actually makes up 35% of your credit score. All right? 35% of your credit score is your payment history. Now, I'm going to add to that collections and charge-offs, because you wouldn't have collections and charge-offs if you were not late. Okay? So the late payments lead to collections and charge-offs, which lending companies do not like to see. Okay? So let's start working on getting those late payments off. If you need help with that, let me know. Okay, I've been doing credit since 2016. So, new credit cards. More credit doesn't always mean more buying power. So what the mortgage lender's looking at is, are you stable? And if you have multiple credit cards opening, then it may show that you're not stable, or you could become unstable, which means that if anything happens to your income, your credit and your financial life becomes unstable because you have too many hands in your pot. Okay? So it could lower your average age account, reduce your score a little bit, and lenders become concerned. All right? So be careful with applying for credit, especially when you're in the car buying, the house buying process. You decide to go to the mortgage lender and get a quote and things of that nature. Now they're really watching you. So, and then also they're looking at how much debt is on each card. Okay? How much debt are you holding on each card? That is 30% of your credit score. So late payments and how much debt you have in your credit cards makes up 65% of your credit, over half. Okay? So if you're looking to buy a house in the next 12 months to 24 months, avoid opening unnecessary credit accounts. And then number 3 is buying things you don't need. Okay? Buying things that you don't need. Because if you have a habit of that, then it's going to be really challenging for you to keep up with your mortgage payments. Okay? You're going to keep up with your mortgage payment. When you're buying a house, it's just you and that house for a while. For at least 3 years, it's just you and that house. There aren't any big trips, no big expenditures, no new car, no new credit. It's you and the house. It's you getting stable in that house. You got to buy furniture. You got to get the internet turned on. You got to get the gas turned on. You got to get the water turned on. You got to get the electric turned on. You have to get a security system put in. You may have to buy a garage door opener. I know I bought a house that didn't have a garage door opener. You had to put the garage door opener motor, get that put in. Then the house is settling. There's some things that when you bought the house that may need to be fixed that are under warranty. It's just you and that house. And if you're buying things that you really don't need, and we talk about this, we call this the leaks, then guess what? It's going to be hard to pay your mortgage, which means that you're going to have a late payment, which means it can affect your credit, which means that if you're using money for other things other than the mortgage, you could end up, it could be a future foreclosure. So here's my suggestion. When you buy a house, it's house payment and putting money aside for maintenance. House payment, money aside for maintenance. House payment, money aside for maintenance. Building your emergency fund just in case things happen. You're gonna have to kind of narrow your life down a little bit. We call it being meek. Okay, we call it being meek. All right, so you want to protect that payment history. No late payments. You want to avoid applying for new credit, and you want to plug the leaks. You want to plug those leaks right now. Plug them up before you get to the lender's office. Now, if you're not sure what those leaks are, then come join us in Budget Boys, and we have a free leak score. You can come discover your leak score for free. And your leak score is bigger than your credit score. It's more important than your credit score, because once you find out what the leaks are, and some of them you may not even know, and you start plugging them up and you start allocating, over time, it will fix your credit by default. So come join us in Budget Boys, the free community. Come learn what your league score is, and then learn how to really set up your allocation process and your systems so that they run automatically, so that when you do have the house or looking to purchase the house, you already have a system operating. And when the lender starts to look at your financial records or your financial statements, they'll see there's a system going on. They'll say that person is stable. Now, they'll ask, what are these accounts? Well, here's what I do. Well, here's what I do. I do this here. Here's what I do. They'll be like, okay, this person is stable. And you're more likely to get what you're looking for when your paperwork shows that you are stable. Okay, so those are 3 things you want to avoid if you're looking to purchase a house. Remember that house buying process starts 12 to 24 months before you walk into the lender's door. Now, if you want more detailed things about the house buying process, then I have someone I can turn you over to. I'm not a real estate professional or anything of that nature. I'm just understanding systems and concepts. Now, I know this may sound rudiment to some individuals and all that makes sense. I'm just looking to buy a house, but I'm telling you, if you do it this way, you'll get the house you want all the time. When it comes time to get another house, you'll be ready. When it comes time maybe to get that investment property, you'll be ready because you'll already have a system that you're operating in place. So when you want to go get that loan for that investment property, you're more likely to get approved, especially if you have to get money to do a fixer-upper. The place may cost $60, but you need $25 to fix it up. Now you need $85. Okay? So, Marlon the Valiionaire, I hope we got some value today. And you can, there are so many other things that you'll want to make sure you look out for before you buy a house. But I just want to kind of give you 3 things. And you can expound from those 3 things on your own. Just do some research, look up late payments and what that means. Look up applying for new credit and what that could mean in the house buying process. Look up overspending and what that could mean in the house buying process. This is where you got to kind of do some of your own research. In the WIN formula, the letter I stands for initiative. You got to take the initiative. You hear some information, and then you go do your own research from that information. We call that taking the initiative. If you want to win in buying a house, you got to be willing, take the initiative, never quit. So this right here is you getting information, and the I means take the initiative. Do some research. What are some other things that I may want to avoid when I'm looking to buy a house? Because some people think it starts the day you walk into the lender's office. They're not thinking that it starts a year or 2 beforehand. Okay, so Marlon the Valiionaire, and we'll see you on the next episode. Come join us in the Budget Boys community. The link is going to be somewhere in the description with this episode on YouTube, somewhere. You'll be able to come join us. All right, so Marlon the Valiionaire, and we will see you on the next episode.